Hello, my friends, and welcome to Rick Reads. Today I'll be continuing The Demon, written by me. Here we go. The Demon, Chapter 3. Artemis walked into the council chamber, wanting to hear what the lower-ranking angels had to say to him. Apparently, they thought they could intimidate him with their semblance of power. They had no idea they existed only because Artemis let them. He entered the room in his usual manner, frowning at being disturbed yet again. "What is it this time, Council?" he asked, taking his seat on the throne, which was in the place of the podium in the center of the room this time instead of at the head of the council. "You have sentenced Victor to a life among the mortals," the council accused. "You did it without us, which you know is against our laws." Artemis scoffed at the idea of the council quoting laws to him. He was one of the original authors of the laws. "Does that amuse you?" the council asked. "Indeed it does," Artemis replied. "You know who you speak to, after all." The council remained silent for a time and then said, "We are not as blind as you are, Archangel." Artemis smiled. The scars under his blindfold wrinkled from the action. "I can see better than any of you. I understand the jab was supposed to affect me. Please, continue with this farce of a trial." Taken aback by the lack of concern Artemis was exhibiting, the council changed its tone. You are given one chance to explain your actions. One chance only. And if you are found guilty, you will be joining Victor on Earth as a mortal. If you are proven innocent, we will rescind our accusations, and you will be free to return to your post as commander of Heaven's armies." "I was not aware my command had been revoked," Artemis stated. "No matter, I will explain myself." Artemis stood, not wanting to sit if he was to address the council. He was not intimidated in the least by the bureaucratic council, and knew that even if they found him guilty, he would not simply become immortal on Earth as they threatened. He knew he was in no danger from them. "I admit I did not foresee Victor's actions. However, what I did out of a need for swift action. I knew that if left to you slow-acting fools, Victor would be left to think his actions were not as unlawful as he once believed. If left to the council to decide his fate in light of the information I gave at our last meeting, I knew the feeling of guilt would pass from his conscience. I needed to keep that guilt fresh in his mind as I stripped him of his grace. He had to know that his unlawful actions would not be tolerated in any fashion. I circumvented the council's authority to act on my own authority. Often you leave judgments to me anyway. What I did was to ensure that Victor would not lash out at us for banishing him. I knew that if left in incarceration, he would begin to grow angry at the council. Besides, I also knew that he failed to kill the demon as he had thought." The last thought brought a gasp from the council. They had not been able to see anything that transpired after Victor drew his blade against the demon. The fact that Artemis knew anything at all implied he may have been at the scene, watching in secret. "The demon lives," Artemis continued, "though I do not know where he may be now that you have called me here. No matter, I suppose, since I took measures to ensure the demon would be dealt with." "What do you mean? Have you appointed a human to stop him?" "I did better. I sent Victor on his trail." "Then you cause him to break the laws all over again," the council fumed. Artemis smirked, amused by the council's rash accusations. "He is technically immortal now, remember? He is no longer an angel under Heaven's rule. He is no longer bound by the same laws we are." "You play dangerous games, Archangel. Why should we not send you to Earth right now?" "Because I have not broken a law fit for such a punishment." "Explain." "Suffice to say that after I took Victor's grace, I've ensured that these two will seek each other out and settle the score." "How do you know Victor is going after the demon? And how much of his memory did you remove?" "I have contacted a human who will guide Victor, who may be using a different name, along the path to the demon. He will help Victor regain a portion of his lost power in order to kill the demon. Some of his memories may come back, which will aid in the hunt. As he remembers, so too will he gain in strength. By removing most of his memories, I allowed him to learn new ways to fight, new techniques to utilize in battle. The demon, wherever he may be, will be hard-pressed to survive the encounter. At the very least, the two may kill each other. Either outcome allows you to rest easy in the knowledge that my actions were not in vain." The council remained silent, deliberating on their decision. After several minutes, the council finally spoke up. "You are found innocent, for now. But tell us, what happens in the event of war with Hell if Victor is slain by the demon? What happens if he fails to slay the demon? Surely there are demons in Hell stronger than the one on Earth." Artemis nodded. "You are correct. There are stronger demons. However, there are none more tenacious nor cunning than him, or more adaptable. I have been to Hell, as you well know, and I have seen Hell's army. In the event of open war, the battleground will be soaked in the blood of both our races. If Victor is killed by the demon, we will be without one warrior out of many. I admit Victor would make a fine commander, but he is replaceable." "You said we would need him." "I said we would need angels like him," Artemis corrected. "Do not use my words against me if you do not plan to use them properly. Anyway, with Victor on the hunt for the demon, it is likely he will find other demons on Earth, thereby weakening Hell's hold over the humans. Do not be so rash to think I sent him after only one demon. The demon he faced recently is not the only one on Earth. You would be fools to believe otherwise. Remember what I have said to you the next time you decide to try to condemn me for my actions. I am not an enemy you would want." The council held back any anger or fear that they felt, worrying that Artemis would fulfill his threat. One by one, the council members disappeared, going back to what each angel was doing before the council summons. The last angel stood once the rest had gone and lowered her hood. "I hope you're right," she said, a sad look in her golden eyes. Artemis nodded, his face holding a grim expression. "I should be. Although you should know already what will happen." The woman nodded grimly. "My future sight shows me many outcomes, though I'm not sure which one will come to pass." She placed her hand on Artemis's armored chest. "I never am where you are concerned. Anything you have a hand in always gets so obscured and hard to see. You're shrouded in so much secrecy." Artemis took her hand and gently moved it from his chest. He knew she loved him, but he did not share her feelings. "I have my reasons, Ariel. Go back to your home and keep an eye out for anything important regarding Victor and his demon hunt." Ariel nodded, reluctant to leave but obeying Artemis's wishes. She disappeared, leaving Artemis alone. The Archangel shook his head, surprised by the audacity of the council. Never before had they threatened him with banishment, even when he first came to heaven from Hell to train with the angelic army. The angels were growing bolder. Dante stared in disbelief. Just the day before, he was in a small town. Now he was in a bustling city. Tall spires made of marble reached towards the heavens, and the streets were paved with smooth stone. People brushed past him, hastily going to wherever they needed to be. Various smells wafted across Dante's nose. He could smell bread from a bakery down the street, refuse from a butcher shop, and even the heavy perfumes of women looking to part lonely men from their coins. He knew he was in the poorer district, but he couldn't fathom how he knew that. All he knew was that he was not where he was supposed to be. "I do apologize," Alighier sighed at Dante's left. Dante jumped in surprise, shocked that his own senses didn't point out the high priest sooner. "It appears you were followed when you went to Massalia." "Okay," Dante muttered. "Then where am I?" "Sparta," Alighier replied flippantly. "We are not in Gaul anymore. I was forced to bring you closer to where the demon started his rampage so many decades ago. Demons don't generally retrace their steps, so we should be safer here." Dante's head swam in confusion. He didn't understand most of what Alighier had said. I... What? Was all he could sputter. Alighier rolled his eyes. "I suppose I should clarify. I am not as simple a human as you believed." He slid his robe open to reveal a strange marking on his chest. The symbol, a cross with a loop at the top, drew more memories to Dante's mind. "That's an Ankh," he stated. "That's the Egyptian symbol of... was it life?" Alighier nodded, pleased to see Dante's memories were beginning to return. He closed his robe and motioned for Dante to walk with him. "Yes, it is. You see, I was not entirely honest with you when I spoke with you yesterday." "Last week?" Alligator sighed heavily. Oh, I suppose the trip here had more of an effect on you than I realized when we arrived. Magic does not work for humans as easily as it does for demons or angels. You've been asleep for a week. It happens sometimes, best not to worry about it. Figuring he'd get nothing more from the old man on that subject, Dante dismissed it. Fine, then tell me who you really are. Why do you have that mark? And why did you transport me here in the first place? Who's following me? I am not a high priest. I don't even follow the religion the Greeks have adopted. It all seems like some demon or angel decided to be revered as a god and made it all up, if you ask me. I am actually a man who was chosen decades ago to act as a liaison between the angels of heaven, the demon lords of hell, and the humans of earth. Believe me, it is not as exciting as I once thought it would be. However, it has afforded me more security than I thought I would ever need. There were such dark days. Feeling Alligator was about to go off on a tangent, Dante decided to snap the old man back to what he needed to tell him. Focus. I have need of information. Alligator looked up at him as if he'd startled him and said, Oh, yes, right. Anyway, I am a liaison between the worlds. One of them wants something done or conveyed to the other, I make sure it happens. I wasn't lying about being contacted by heaven to recruit you for the task of slaying the demon. This mark was given to me by the Archangel of Heaven. He said it would be proof of who I am to the others. That's for why I transported us here. I told you that you were followed. Honestly, it's easier to simply show you what happened. Here, let me place my hand upon your head, and I'll implant the occurrence in your mind. Dante lowered his head and allowed Alligator to show him what happened in Massalia. A man strode towards the gates of Massalia, anger driving his steps. He approached the guards, the same guards Dante had spoken to earlier that same day. Where is he? The man demanded. The guards looked at each other in confusion. Who do you mean? One guard asked timidly. The man glared at the stupid men. There was a man who came to this town not long before me. Where is he? Do you mean Dante? He entered the town just this morning. The man, still without his memories, thought of the name the guard had said. Dante sounded very familiar to him. Yes, Dante. Will you let me in to search for him? Gaining courage, the guards tightened their grip on their spears. State your business. The man was growing tired of the games. He held up his hand and shot a bolt of lightning through the chest of one of the guards. Leather and flesh sizzled and burned, leaving a fist-sized hole through the dead man's torso, right where his heart used to be. The guard screamed once, then fell to the dirt, dead before he landed. Let me in. I've no time for games, the man commanded. The remaining guard, fearing this killer more than he loved his home, immediately opened the gate. His hands trembled and he fumbled with his spear as the man casually walked past. The man was inwardly confused as to how he knew magic, but decided to simply go with it. Magic would prove to be helpful during this hunt. Several more guards approached the man, brandishing weapons. One soldier emerged from the group, wearing iron armor bearing an insignia denoting his rank of captain. These men had heard the dying guard scream and came running. Halt or be killed, the captain commanded. The man stopped walking and placed a hand on his sword. You are harboring my enemy. Bring me to him or I will kill every man who stands in my way. My only wish is to kill Dante. None of you need to come to any harm. The anger in his voice seemed to betray his words, leading the soldiers to advance a step. None came near the man but waited for a signal from their captain. The man whom you seek is under the protection of our high priest. If you wish to see Dante, you'll need to speak with him. Thinking he could gain more information, the man moved his hand away from his sword and nodded. Then lead me to your priest. Still surrounded, the man was escorted to the temple. Once there, the captain called to the soldiers guarding the entrance to summon the high priest. Within moments, the old man shuffled out of the building. Alligator looked at the man amid the soldiers and gasped. The vision cut out and Dante was left confused. What? That's it? He asked in surprise. Surely there's more. Oh, there is, Alligator replied. However, I'm a bit embarrassed about the next bit. Speak up, old man. Aligir looked ashamed and held out his hands in a supplicating manner. I may have been a bit mistaken about to whom I was to appoint the task of killing the demon. I thought it was you. Not many people came to Massalia as it was, especially someone with no memory of who they were. How was I to know two men like that would show up in one day? Dumbfounded, Dante shook his head. You're inept. You're a buffoon. How could you dare to think that he would be the right person? I came peaceably to the town, only wanting food and shelter. I willingly let them take me to see you. He murdered a man to get in, then demanded to see you on the pretense it would lead to my death. Who do you think is the one you're supposed to give the task to? Aligir shook his head in defeat. How am I supposed to know? I was never given a physical description of who I was supposed to appoint. How am I to know? Dante shook his head in irritation. Oh, you're so inept. Did you put him on the task of hunting the demon too? Aligir nodded sheepishly. Obviously, your emissary is not privy to your idiocy, Dante hissed. He shook his head again, but a thought occurred to him. He believes I'm the demon, does he not? It is possible, though I told him you were already on the hunt, Aligir shrugged. Did this man leave Massalia? Aligir nodded. Then why move me hundreds of miles away? Aligir started to say something, but found his logic failing. In case he came back? He asked as much as said. Idiot. Wait, let me see an image of him. I may recognize him from before I lost my memory. Catching on, Aligir placed his hand on Dante's head. Dante was shown an image of the man who hunted him. The image elicited feelings of hatred and anger, but nothing else. No name, no relationship to Dante other than as an enemy. Nothing. He pulled away from Aligir and sighed. He may just be the man I fought on the beach outside of courteous, he muttered. Another thought occurred to him. There are other humans who have contacted denizens of heaven and hell, correct? Well, yes, of course, Aligir replied. Why? Could a human be taught the use of magic? Aligir nodded. It was my spell that brought us here. Dante nodded, thinking. I figured as much. Could it be that this man is simply a man who holds a grudge against me for some reason? I suppose it is possible. Then it's possible he is not the demon I seek, and I wish no fight with him anymore since I cannot remember what our fight was about. I say we ignore him and resume our hunt for the demon. Surely the safety of others is more important than a personal war with someone I can't remember. Aligir smiled, clapping Dante on the back. Wise words, young man, he said. I will work to keep your trail hidden from him nonetheless, lest he become too much of a distraction. Dante nodded and grinned. Good. Now, let's begin our hunt. Where did the demon begin his rampage? Starting the beginning seems like the smart thing to do. Aligir nodded in agreement and led Dante toward a nearby tavern. If we're to discuss hunting a demon, I'll need a stiff drink, Aligir quipped. Outside of Massalia, the man hunting Dante took shelter in a shallow cave. He mulled over what Aligir had told him, about the emissary, about Dante hunting a demon, and about his own agreement to hunt the same demon. If Dante was hunting the demon, then surely the man could follow his trail. Maybe if the demon was dead, he could finally kill Dante and be done with the feelings of pain and anger in his chest. The thought of the pain caused him to unconsciously clutch at the pained area as if his heart burned. Dante did something to him, something he could not identify. What had he done to him? Why couldn't he remember? Some of his memories were slowly coming back to him. He remembered fighting Dante, if not the actual outcome of the fight. Something nagged at the back of his mind. What was it? It seemed like a single word was trying to force its way out of obscurity. Damn it, what is that word? He hissed. Victim? Victory? No. Victor. Is that my name? The name sounded as familiar to him as Dante. Perhaps Victor was his own name, perhaps not. Victor. Victor, maybe it is my name. The revelation did nothing to sate his anger. Oddly, the name carried much weight with it, and seemed to anger him more, as if mocking him. He decided a different name would suit him better. If Victor was his name, it belonged to his past. He needed a new name. one to fit his goal of killing Dante. If he was to bring death to a demon in order to kill Dante, he would need a fitting name. For some reason, the name of the Angel of Death came to mind, as if calling to his own inner purpose. Azrael. That was chapter 3 of The Demon. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.